Me and my baby's on our honeymoon.
Oh, your video?
Yeah, video.
Oh!
So now, say how
I
much
thought
fun
it
you
was
having,
a
baby.
regular shot. Hi! We're having such a good time.
We have been having a good time.
Looking back at those words spoken by Cedric Anderson about his new wife Karen during their Sedona honeymoon, even you would have thought that they made love look beautiful. However, just 72 days after saying "I do," Cedric would walk into his wife's classroom at North Park Elementary School in San Bernardino and open fire, killing Karen, 8-year-old Jonathan Martinez, and himself in what police would classify as a targeted act of domestic violence. Before we understand how a special education classroom became a crime scene, we need to go back to where it all started, where Elaine crossed paths with a man who would present himself as her soulmate while hiding a terrible pattern of violence against women.
There's no one who would have been less deserving of this kind of thing than Karen was. She was just a person who was always doing what she was supposed to be doing all the time. She was always doing the right thing. So this is kind of an ultimate irony. She was a very quiet, very conservative person. If you look in the dictionary for good girl, there's her picture. I mean, she was just the embodiment of reasonableness and conservatism and godliness and conservative Christianity with a big heart. And that points exactly to the compassion that was the very heartbeat of her life. That was the center of who she was, to take care of people. She was gentle and soft-spoken and a quiet person. I was very surprised to find that they were proceeding with a wedding.
Karen Elaine Smith didn't follow a traditional path into teaching. Born and raised in Harbor City, California, in a deeply religious household, she spent her younger years as a stay-at-home mother, homeschooling her 4 children for 8 years after her 21-year marriage ended in 2009. Her mother, Irma Sykes, who had taught for 41 years, became her inspiration. Around 2007, at age 43, Karen returned to school herself, pursuing a bachelor's degree in teaching credentials with a specific focus on autism and learning disabilities. By 2017, Karen had become a 10-year veteran of the San Bernardino Unified School District, known for arriving at school as early as 5 in the morning to prepare engaging lessons for her special needs students. Her daughter Jennifer would later say that Karen took extreme joy in seeing them excel, often developing lifelong bonds with the families of the children she taught. She was the kind of teacher who didn't just instruct but truly cared, volunteering with the terminally ill and integrating her deep Christian faith into everything she did. It was sometime around 2013 when Karen met Cedric Charles Anderson. On the surface, Cedric seemed like a catch. He was a 53-year-old U.S. Navy veteran who served honorably from 1982 to 1986 and lived in Riverside and projected an image of a loving, devoted partner. The couple dated for 4 years, a relationship that from the outside appeared healthy and stable.
Okay, Tim.
Yeah, Tim.
Yeah.
It is delicious.
Happy wives, happy husbands.
Yeah, happy wives,
The
happy
new
husbands.
members club. Tim and Karen, we're having fun. Thanks a lot.
Friends saw a man who seemed proud of his relationship, posting affectionate photos and messages about Karen on social media. But here's what Karen's family and the public didn't fully know. Cedric had a criminal history stretching back to 1982, with 9 arrests across California counties. While the court records show only 2 minor misdemeanor convictions, the pattern was disturbing. His charges included assault with a deadly weapon, brandishing a firearm, spousal battery, domestic violence, and violations of restraining orders. At least 3 ex-partners had sought or obtained restraining orders against him between 1992 and 2010. One girlfriend from 2004 told police he threatened, "I'll kill you like I'll kill anyone who disrespects me." Yet none of these orders were active in 2017. The legal system had allowed Cedric to slip through the cracks time and time again, charges dismissed, cases pled down, victims recanting. He had even been prescribed medication for depression and anger management issues through the Veteran Affairs between 2014 and 2016, but he was non-compliant with treatment. On January 28, 2017, Karen and Cedric married in a ceremony at Bethesda Temple in Los Angeles. They honeymooned in Sedona, Arizona, where Cedric filmed those cheerful videos of the two of them hiking and enjoying their time together.
Me and my baby's on our honeymoon.
Oh, your video?
Yeah, video.
Oh!
So now, say how much fun you're having,
baby.
baby.
Regular shot. Hi. We're having such a good time.
We have been having a good time.
Yeah.
She got me hiking. Ooh, out here in Sedona. Us and all the folks.
Yeah, we're gonna do a lot more.
Us and all the folks. We out here hiking. We're having a ball. It's been nice.
Karen's mother Irma would later describe Cedric as a wolf in sheep's clothing, a man who seemed wonderful on the surface but revealed his true nature almost immediately after the wedding. Within just weeks of marriage, the cracks began to show when Cedric started accusing Karen of infidelity, leading to verbal threats and abuse. The honeymoon phase lasted no time at all. On February 18, 2017, Cedric posted something chilling on Facebook. "Almost had to attack 3 coaches today, but God calmed me." That same night, according to phone records, he threw Karen's phone against a wall during an argument about his infidelity accusations. Karen's family urged her to leave after just 3 weeks of living together, which she took heed to. By mid-March, Karen had moved out, staying with her adult children in Riverside and Moreno Valley. But even as Karen was physically separating from Cedric, he maintained a disturbing public facade. On March 11th, 3 days after Karen had moved out, Cedric posted on Facebook, "My wife Karen Smith Anderson is an angel," with heart emojis. To the outside world, they were a happy couple, but behind closed doors, Karen was confiding in her mother and siblings about the threats, though she dismissed them as attention-seeking behavior.
What I love about my wife, boy, she is making me really happy. She knows when to ignore me. Well, that makes a happy marriage.
Cedric sent over 4,200 Facebook messages and 1,800 text messages trying to get through to Karen. On April 8th, just 2 days before the shooting, he sent her 27 unanswered calls and texts, including messages saying, "You will respect me." On another note, financial desperation likely added to Cedric's spiral. He was chronically unemployed, living on $1,487 per month in Veteran Affairs disability payments, and owed $31,400 in child support arrears for children from previous relationships. One of his friends would later reveal that Cedric had said in January 2017, "Marrying Karen is going to get me out of this hole." When that plan failed and Karen left, Cedric's anger intensified. Between April 8th and 9th, GPS records show Cedric drove past Karen's daughter's house in Moreno Valley 6 times. On April 9th at 11:47 p.m., he sent Karen what would be his final text to her, "I still love you. Good night," which she didn't respond to. Now, Karen kept her marital problems almost completely private from her colleagues at North Park Elementary. She confided only in her closest family members, wanting to protect her professional life and perhaps not fully grasping the danger she was in. School administrators had no idea that Cedric Anderson had an estranged husband making threats. They had no idea that when Cedric Anderson showed up at the front desk on April 10th, claiming to drop something off for his wife, they were letting a killer into the building. The morning of April 10, 2017 started like any other Monday at North Park Elementary. Karen arrived early as she always did, preparing materials for her 15 special needs students in classroom B1. The classroom served 1st through 4th graders with learning disabilities, and Karen worked alongside 2 teacher aides, Denise Woodard and Yolanda Garnett. At 6:12 that morning, Cedric purchased 50 rounds of .357 ammunition at Turner's Outdoorsman in Riverside. He was carrying a Smith & Wesson Model 19, a revolver he had legally purchased back in 1998. And because none of his arrests resulted in felony convictions, federal law didn't prohibit him from owning firearms. At 10:24 a.m., Cedric walked into North Park Elementary and signed the visitor's log at the front office, writing "Cedric Anderson dropping something off for wife." His ID was checked, no bag search was conducted because it was a routine visit from a spouse, or so it seemed to the office staff who had no knowledge of the separation or threats. The school was following standard procedures that, tragically, weren't designed to catch what was about to happen. Remember that phrase Cedric's ex-girlfriend said he once threatened her with? "I'll kill you like I'll kill anyone who disrespects me"? That threat years earlier was about to become horrifyingly real in a room full of children. At 10:29 and 38 seconds on April 10, 2017, Cedric knocked once on the door of classroom B1. Teacher aide Denise Woodard opened it, expecting perhaps a parent volunteer or someone with a legitimate reason to be there. Her colleague, Yolanda Garnett, was wearing a GoPro-style training camera that day, and the footage would later provide investigators with a second-by-second account of what happened next. Cedric stepped inside and said absolutely nothing. He pulled a .357 caliber revolver from his right jacket pocket. At that moment, Karen was standing at a kidney-shaped table, bent forward helping two students with a reading activity. 8-year-old Jonathan Martinez and 9-year-old Nolan Brandy were seated directly behind her on the inside curve of the table. At 10:29 and 52 seconds, Cedric opened fire. The first volley lasted less than 4 seconds. 6 shots rang out in rapid succession, all aimed directly at Karen. 5 bullets struck her in the torso and head. She collapsed immediately between Jonathan and Nolan, her body falling across the children she'd been teaching just seconds before. But Cedric wasn't finished. At 10:30 and 2 seconds, standing over Karen's body, he manually reloaded his .357 revolver with a speed loader containing 6 more rounds. The GoPro footage captured the distinct clicking of metal against metal.
At a San Bernardino elementary school, a man opens fire in a classroom. A special needs teacher and a student. And now we're learning the teacher was his estranged wife. Good evening, I'm Elizabeth Cook.
And I'm Ken Bastida. Just minutes ago, authorities releasing pictures of the gunman, 53-year-old Cedric Anderson, and that teacher, Anderson's wife, Karen Elaine Smith. Now, the deadly happened this morning at North Park Elementary School in San Bernardino. Reporter Danielle Nottingham with the latest from the scene.
Ken, officials have identified the gunman as 53-year-old Cedric Anderson. They say he walked into a special needs classroom and killed his wife, 53-year-old Karen Smith. Another student standing behind her was shot. That student later died in the hospital from their injuries, and another student is in the hospital with injuries this evening.
It's help them to find their children right now, Lord.
Some parents prayed while others comforted each other, waiting to hear if their children were safe.
Nervous, scared, hoping everybody's okay.
San Bernardino police say a gunman shot and killed a teacher in a classroom at North Park Elementary School around 10:30 this morning, then turned the gun on himself. 2 students were also injured.
The children we do not believe were targeted. The entire incident was limited to a single classroom.
Police arrived on the scene within 7 minutes. They say there was no indication the gunman had a weapon when he entered the elementary school. As kids were bused to a nearby campus for extra safety, some frustrated parents say they didn't receive any information from the school district.
We need to know where to find our kids.
About 600 students attend North Park Elementary School. And the school will be closed for the next couple of days as officials continue their investigation. Ken?
Danielle, do police know why the gunman killed his wife? Is there any motive at this point? Was this an ongoing domestic thing? What do you know?
Yeah, they're trying to figure it out. Police say they didn't get any warning that something like this could happen. What they did tell the media today is that the couple was married only for a few months and they had been recently separated. Now, also school officials say there's nothing unusual about a spouse entering the school. He said that he came to the school to drop something off to his wife, so there was nothing unusual about that happening. So right now they're waiting for a warrant to search the home of Cedric Anderson to try to figure out if there's any more information as to why something like this happened, Ken.
Danielle Nottingham, thank you for that.
Between 10:30 and 6 seconds and 10:30 and 9 seconds, Cedric fired 4 more times. 2 bullets struck Karen in the head and neck. 1 bullet hit Jonathan Martinez in the chest, perforating his heart. Another struck Nolan Brandy in the right shoulder and left thigh. The boys had been positioned directly in the line of fire, seated behind Karen at the kidney table. Because Karen was bending forward when she was shot, the bullets either passed through her body or traveled beside her, continuing into the children. 7 gunshot wounds riddled Karen's body, 4 to her torso, 3 to her head and neck. She never had a chance. At 10:30 and 10 seconds, Cedric placed the muzzle of the revolver under his own chin and fired once. The contact wound sent the bullet upward through his skull and out the top of his head. His body collapsed backward onto the classroom carpet, the revolver falling beside his right hand. The entire attack lasted 36 seconds. A 7-year-old girl who witnessed the shooting would later tell investigators something that still haunts those who read the reports. Another student described how Mrs. Smith fell on Jonathan and there was blood everywhere. The man shot himself and made a big hole in his head. Yolanda Garnett, whose GoPro captured the attack, threw herself over 3 students on the carpet to shield them. Denise Woodard, who had opened the door for Cedric, would later say, "I opened the door thinking it was a parent volunteer. He walked past me like I wasn't even there." At 10:27 a.m., even before the shooting ended, 2 911 calls came in from the school's front office. The callers, a school secretary and the principal, provided crucial details. Shots fired in classroom B1. He's her husband, special ed classroom.
911 emergency.
We have an active at North Park Elementary.
At North Park Elementary School?
Yes, one of our teachers was shot.
Okay, we're on our way. Hold on. Don't hang up. Don't hang up. Don't hang up. At North Park Elementary. Yep. Hold on, honey. I'm getting school pediatrics with us. Hold on.
District Police is Jeannie.
Jeannie, this is Ricky. They're telling me they got an active at North Park Elementary School.
Okay, I didn't get any of that, but go ahead and transfer the call.
Okay, they're on the phone.
Okay, hi, how can I help you? We have an active. One of our teachers got shot in the classroom. At what school?
San Bernardino Police Department officers arrived within 7 minutes at 10:34 a.m. 8 initial units secured the perimeter. Officers Ramirez and McBride entered through the main doors, following the dispatcher's directions to classroom B1. Officer Snyder, first inside, smelled gunpowder and immediately confirmed suspect down, multiple victims. Cedric Anderson was dead from his self-inflicted wound. Karen Smith was unresponsive with 7 gunshot wounds. Jonathan Martinez was bleeding from chest and abdominal wounds. Nolan Brandy was conscious but injured. Officer Ramirez immediately began CPR on Jonathan but was unsuccessful. While first responders worked inside classroom B1, a massive evacuation was underway. Approximately 500 to 600 students were bused to Cajon High School, about 1.5 miles away, for parent reunification. The scene outside the school was chaotic. One mother had to remove her daughter's sweater because parents waited 2 to 3 hours to reunite with their children, required to show photo identification before being allowed to take them home. Some students were interviewed for up to 3 hours by investigators trying to piece together exactly what happened.
He's the San Bernardino school Cedric Anderson and his wife, school teacher Karen Smith, lovingly enjoying their honeymoon in Sedona, Arizona.
We're having a ball. It's been nice.
Karen was a beautiful bride when she said "I do" to the 53-year-old former pastor and military vet.
Happy wives, happy husbands.
Here's Jim Murray.
After they got married on January 28th, Cedric Anderson moved into his wife's home in a gated community. But very quickly, the marriage had problems. Just a few weeks ago, Karen Smith decided she had no choice but to seek a divorce.
Now, investigators want to know how Anderson, in a matter of 2.5 months, went from gushing groom to the madman who strode into his wife's classroom at North Park Elementary School in San Bernardino, her student, and wounding a second child.
Possible active North Park Elementary.
This is exclusive video of Karen Smith singing in her church choir, given to us by her grieving cousin, Jessica Alexander.
Karen was a beautiful person. When she told us she was getting married, I said, "You look so happy."
Did you have any sense of the relationship taking a turn?
You know, I really didn't. Karen was a very quiet, very private person.
The scene at the school was total chaos as children were reunited with relieved parents.
We heard our PE coach, like with the little kids, and he was like, go! I didn't want to.
Cell phone video captures paramedics furiously working to save the life of 8-year-old Jonathan Martinez. Jonathan from his injuries, a sweet boy gone much too soon for no reason whatsoever.
Jonathan, who had Williams syndrome and had been working so hard in his special education class, would be airlifted to Loma Linda University Medical Center, where he died on April 11th at approximately 11:30 a.m. His family would later raise over $120,000 through GoFundMe and use Jonathan's death to advocate for awareness about Williams syndrome, a genetic disorder causing developmental delays. Nolan Brandy, also airlifted to Loma Linda, survived, but suffered a broken rib and liver and kidney damage, requiring 9 surgeries, and was discharged on April 14th. His parents, Rachel and Leon, would describe the experience as surreal, noting that despite everything, Nolan remained in good spirits, eventually watching cartoons in his hospital bed. This wasn't San Bernardino's first brush with mass violence. Just 16 months earlier, on December 2, 2015, the city had experienced a terrorist attack that killed 14 people. The community was still healing from that trauma when another act of violence shattered their sense of safety. But this time, it wasn't terrorism. It was something far more common and often overlooked: domestic violence spilling into a public space. At 1:30 p.m. on April 10th, San Bernardino Police Chief Jared Bergwin held a press conference where he made something very clear. This is a tragic domestic-related incident. Anderson entered without warning, targeted his wife. Children were collateral.
At 10:27 this morning, we received a report of a at North Park Elementary. So the response was about 7 minutes. Within minutes of that, we had about the first 8 police officers on scene. They immediately went in. What had happened is a suspect by the name of Cedric Anderson, 53 years old. He's a resident of Riverside. The husband of the teacher of the classroom, who's identified as Karen Elaine Smith. She too is 53 years old. Cedric entered the classroom and from what we understand, without saying anything, armed with a large caliber revolver, opened fire on his wife. She was in that exchange. There are 2 students in the classroom that were behind the teacher that were struck by fire. One of those children is identified as Jonathan Martinez, common spelling. He's 8 years old. He was taken to Loma Linda University Medical Center via helicopter, airlifted out almost immediately as soon as we can get resources there. Tragically, he has passed away. The second student that was in the classroom that was struck by fire is a 9-year-old student. I'm not going to release his name at this time. I'm told that he is in stable condition at the hospital. After that exchange, the suspect turned the on himself and he killed himself.
There's no words to describe how we felt. My daughter started seeing stories on Snap that there was a at my daughter's school. As soon as I was able to, I just rushed over here. We had no information. They were not giving us the correct information. No official was coming out to explain any of it. They just had us walking back to the gym. As we got there, they told us they were in Cal State, so we had to go to Cal State. Then they informed us to stay here. The kids were being transported to Cal State, and then, but we had no news. Maybe, I'm going to say about 2-3 hours after waiting, I was informed that my daughter was actually in the classroom where the went in. My daughter just mentioned she saw one of her little friends get in the back. She had blood all over. He had blood all over. As it is, my daughter has special needs. This classroom that they were in is with students with special needs. I don't know. I don't know how else, it's going to affect her.
Parents' worst nightmare to think that it's happening in your daughter's school, or, something could be happening to her.
All she was told was there was a bad man in the class.
Any parent that needs some help, therapy, whatever we need to do to get through this tragedy in San Bernardino County, the district attorney's office is there with my partners and the mayor and our board members and our assembly and congressmen here to to help get us through this tragic event.
I've been over here for almost like 2 hours just waiting for them to finally get him to me, so I'm just happy that he's safe and everything's good. I don't know what happened. I don't even know who got I'm just grateful and blessed that he's fine. That's all I'm after, because this neighborhood needs to be fixed. I don't know who would even go into an elementary school, of all things, and up. Like, what's wrong with people's minds these days?
Procedures were followed by staff. So the person was confirmed to be who they said to be. They were a known person by staff, and so for that reason they were admitted to the campus.
As a level 1 trauma center, we're prepared to take care of mass casualty incidents. That being said, we certainly hate to have to take care of something like this, where we understand that families' lives have been impacted irretrievably today.
Parents, I have a message for you. I would like you to please work with your young child to keep things as normal as possible. Be willing to listen to their story, and be willing to listen to their story multiple times. Reassure them that the danger that they've faced is past, and also continue to model for them healthy ways to cope with what they're feeling.
Once again, I'd like to commend our police officers and the great leadership of Superintendent Dale Marsden, who has been an exemplary leader and administrator in our community. I thank all the electeds that have reached out to our city and expressed their condolences, their support, and their offer of prayers on behalf of our community at this time.
While officers secured the crime scene at North Park Elementary, a SWAT team raided Cedric Anderson's home in Riverside around 12:30 p.m. Inside his gated community residence on Mount Wasatch Drive, they found evidence that revealed how far he was spiraling. They seized 2 phones and a computer that contained the 1,800 text messages and 4,200 Facebook messages. Those messages showed Cedric's desperate attempts to contact Karen in the days leading up to the shooting, including those 27 unanswered calls and texts on April 8th. They also found a handwritten note on an 8 by 10-inch sheet of paper. The note wasn't a traditional suicide manifesto, but its contents were telling. It referenced feelings of disrespect and dishonor from Karen, his need for closure, and his intention to move forward with no regrets. Chief Burgoyne would later say, if read outside this case, it might not alarm anyone, its personal reflection. But in context, it was the final confirmation of a domestic murder-suicide. What investigators didn't find were additional weapons or any indication of planning beyond killing Karen. Cedric had no escape plan and never intended to leave that classroom alive. The full scope of Cedric's deception became clear as investigators dug deeper. The Veteran Affairs medical records showed he'd been diagnosed with adjustment disorder, depressive disorder, and anger management issues between 2014 and 2016. He'd been prescribed sertraline, an antidepressant, but stopped refilling it in February 2016. In October 2016, a VA suicide risk screening had scored him as moderate risk, though he denied having a plan. Yet there were no involuntary holds, no inpatient treatment, nothing that would have flagged him to authorities or prevented him from legally owning guns. This is where the case becomes about more than just one tragedy. According to CDC data contextualized in research about this case, intimate partner violence accounts for approximately 75% of workplace homicides against women. Studies show that separation from an abusive partner triples the risk of femicide, and when guns are involved, that lethality increases by 500%. Karen did everything right. She left, she told her family, moved in with her children, and yet she was still killed because Cedric had legal access to a firearm and the school had no way of knowing she was in danger. At April 10th at 2 p.m., Chief Burgoyne held a follow-up press conference where he provided more details about the note and updated the public on the victim's conditions. And by then, Jonathan Martinez had died. The community was reeling. Hundreds gathered for a vigil at Our Lady of the Assumption Church, holding candles and releasing balloons in memory of Karen and Jonathan. It was a scene of collective grief and anger. Karen's funeral was held on April 23rd at a church in Pomona, a 4-hour service attended by hundreds. Her recorded singing voice was played, moving the congregation to tears. Actress Holly Robinson Peete, who had never met Karen but was moved by her story, eulogized her and announced that a foundation award would be renamed in her honor for her compassion toward the special needs community.
A celebration of Karen Smith as family and friends said goodbye to the 53-year-old who dedicated her life to her students, her faith, and her family.
One thing that I loved about my mom was that she had a free spirit.
She was loved because she loved.
The special education teacher was honored at Shield of Faith Christian Center this morning.
How happy we were when Karen came into the world. We knew that was a gift from God.
A service filled with worship, music, and love for the woman who touched so many.
One of her students told me that he was going to name his daughter Karen.
Not a day to mourn, but to rejoice a life well lived.
Sister Karen was such a wonderful person.
Karen Smith's legacy will now live on through the Holly Rod Foundation, which helps those with autism and Parkinson's. Through her loved ones,
she poured out everything she had into her children.
And Karen herself.
Promise me you'll give faith a fighting chance.
In Pomona, I'm Erin Myers, KTLA 5 News.
In May 2017, Karen was posthumously awarded a master's degree from Brandman University in special education. Her daughter Jennifer walked across the stage clutching both diplomas while family members cheered. It was a bittersweet moment that symbolized Karen's lifelong commitment to education and growth. But for all of the memorials and tributes, the question remained, how do we prevent this from happening again? North Park Elementary School was closed on April 11th and 12th following the shooting, then reopened with classroom B1 relocated to a different area of the building. Fingerprinting for visitors was mandated. School Superintendent Dale Marsden acknowledged that Anderson had bypassed no security protocols, highlighting the need for enhanced screening. But how do you screen for estranged spouses when the teacher herself kept the separation private? In 2018, the San Bernardino Subdivision Unified School District implemented new visitor alert systems for separated staff. But the broader change came later. In 2022, California passed Assembly Bill 2876, known as the Karen Smith Law, which mandates domestic violence-flagged visitor logs. Schools are now required to note when a visitor has a restraining order or known domestic violence history related to someone in the building. The law came too late for Karen, but it was directly inspired by her death. The school itself closed permanently in 2021, with the site being repurposed for district offices. For many, the building itself had become too painful a reminder of what was lost. Dolan Brandy's family sued the San Bernardino Subdivision Unified School District in a $25 million claim that was settled confidentially in 2020. In a 2020 feature by Loma Linda University Medical Center, the Brandy family spoke about Nolan's recovery, crediting therapy dog Penelope with helping him heal. But healing from trauma like this is never complete. In 2022, Nolan was still dealing with nightmares, the psychological scars as deep as the physical ones. Jonathan Martinez's family used their grief to raise awareness about Williams syndrome, establishing scholarships and advocating for children with genetic developmental disorders. They turned their unimaginable loss into a mission to help other families. What do you think about this case?
Do you think it is possible that Karen never saw any signs? Or was she just ignorantly in love? Let me know what you think in the comments section. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.